Back here on Spotlight, if you're the Florida Gators, you don't really have too much time to get excited about Dallas Wilson's huge performance and that big win over Arch Manning in Texas at the Swamp, because yet another SEC heavyweight opponent coming right up. Florida hitting the road, taking on number 5 Texas A&M this weekend. So the schedule certainly does not get any easier. Florida playing its 4th straight game against an AP top 10 team. And Billy Napier is still in Gainesville, if you're wondering. Let's welcome in Tom Fornelli. Tom, it pains me to say this, but the Gators are looking to win 2 in a row for the first time this season, which is absolutely insane. How do you not let the high of Texas get in the way? Because Billy Napier talked about it, right? He said, hey, this is something I brought up in the locker room. But how do you make sure that you kind of come back down to reality here as you have a really tough opponent coming up?
I mean, I think you just show them the tape of the team you have to watch, and then you realize pretty quickly it's, we've got another real difficult test coming our way this week. And I think that, the one thing I will say about Billy Napier, obviously there's always a lot of noise around this program and Billy Napier. Is he on the hot seat? Is he or is he not? You have seen the last few years, even when this team has gotten off to slow starts and they're playing an absolute gauntlet of a schedule, this team comes out and plays hard for him every single week. And we saw that last week in a game in which nobody was really giving the Gators any kind of chance, coming in off a 3-game losing streak after getting beat pretty badly by Miami, to take down Texas, to get that 29-21 win. I think that this is a locker room that is just kind of bought in and believes in their coaching staff. So I don't know how much work Billy Napier really has to do to keep them focused on this game against Texas A&M, because this is you look at this schedule, there are only a few teams in the country you can make a legitimate argument for that say, hey, if they go 9-3, they're probably a playoff team just based on the schedule that they played. So even with these 3 losses, Florida still has everything to gain if they can win out, which obviously not going to be easy when you look at that schedule, but the playoffs are not entirely out of reach. And we have seen DJ Lagway looked healthier last week. He looked better. If that's the DJ Lagway that starts showing up every single weekend, Florida's going to have the quarterback advantage in every single game remaining on its schedule. It is still very much alive, and I think that locker room understands that.
And something else that was new to the offense was Dallas Wilson. Oh, my goodness. What a debut. Over 100 receiving yards, 2 touchdowns. I was seeing people on X, on social media, comparing him to Percy Harvin, like really, really excited, like, hey, this is the best wide receiver prospect Florida has had since Percy. How does he replicate that in just a hostile environment on the road? Because it's certainly a different story than doing it at home in the Swamp.
It's definitely different when you're going on the road and the crowd's cheering and you're standing 20 yards away from your quarterback. So maybe you can't hear him quite as well with all those Aggies screaming at you. But just talent-wise, you mentioned it, this kid is phenomenal. There have been a lot of really highly rated wide receivers coming out of the high school ranks in recent years. And this is somebody who I think that by the time his career in college is done will be one of the best wide receivers at the college level. And what I think really stands out is you haven't seen a whole lot from Florida's receivers before last week when Dallas just kind of showed up, made his debut, caught 6 passes for 111 yards and 2 touchdowns. But he's different than every other Florida receiver. He's 6'3". He's 215 pounds. He has excellent speed for his size. He is the true X-body receiver that you need on the outside, on the perimeter, who can get down the field, and you can just throw the ball up and trust that he's going to be able to make the play on it over the defensive back, which is something we saw. Look how much more comfortable and confident DJ Lagway looked in the pocket last week, knowing he had Dallas Wilson available to throw the ball to. So I think that while it's going to be far more difficult in this road environment, I think the talent speaks for itself. This kid's phenomenal. This DJ Lagway is a phenomenal talent. This is a duo that I feel like for the next few years, it's going to be really difficult for teams to stop. And it's a big challenge for Texas A&M's defense here.
Yeah, please don't hit the portal. That's what every single Florida Gator fan is saying as they're watching that all unfold, right?
Better start donating, Jacqueline.
Oh, my gosh, already. I thought I had a couple years to hold it off. They have enough money, Tom. Come on. All right, let's go to the Texas A&M side of things. They're off to their first 5-0 start since 2016. Back in 2016, they actually started off 6-0. But of course, we're gonna find the flaw, right? Is there one? What is the glaringly obvious thing that is kind of catching your eye that could be a downfall for this A&M squad?
Yeah, they've made improvements the last few weeks, but still, this Texas A&M defense has had some difficulty tackling ball carriers all season long, and I think it's a big reason why, especially earlier in the year, you saw this team giving up a lot of points to competition that was inferior. I mean, outside the Notre Dame game, they weren't really playing the best teams. Now, we've seen it come back. They were a better tackling team against Auburn, although part of that was the fact that Auburn's offense is awful, so nobody really ever had the ball to tackle to begin with. But especially last week against a Mississippi State team who offensively had been playing very well all season long, They held them to 9 points. They weren't giving up the big plays that we had seen them doing earlier in the season. And I think that based on what we saw from Florida in the passing game last week against Texas, they need to maintain that same kind of discipline to keep those guys in front of them and make the play when they get there to keep Florida from getting big explosive plays, which is what they're going to need in a road environment if they want to pull off an upset. And I think that's what the Aggies have to take away.
All right, so on the Florida side of things, we were looking at Dallas Wilson for the impact player to watch, and then for A&M, we're going to their receiver room as well, Tom.
Yeah, Mario Craver's been a revelation for this Texas A&M offense, which is just, frankly, it's full of excellent playmakers at the skill positions. They have great running backs, and now they have great receivers, too. Craver transferred in from Mississippi State last year. He's already surpassed last year's production as a freshman. He has 30 catches for 557 yards and 4 touchdowns. And that includes a 207-yard performance against Notre Dame earlier in the year. He has been a phenomenal player for the Aggies. He's a little bit of a do-it-all guy. He can get downfield and be the vertical threat. He can go underneath, catch the ball, and get yards after the catch. Him and KC Concepcion have been an excellent pairing in the passing game for Marcel Reed, who himself has developed as a passer more this season. It's a really tricky offense for teams to stop, but this is a very good defense they're going up against. So I want to see Mario Craver, if he can have the same kind of impact here that he had against Notre Dame. If he does, I like the Aggies odds.
It is game prediction time. Florida, 7.5-point road dogs. Do they win, Tom? Do they just cover? Just shoot me straight.
I think they can win. I'm not going to pick them to win. I do love that hook, though. Getting that 7.5, I really, really like Florida getting those points in this spot because I do think that defensively, the Gators are going to be able to stay in this game. I think they could slow down a very good and a very explosive Texas A&M offense. And I do think that, as I mentioned, A&M's defense has had problems tackling guys in the open field, which could lead to big plays. So I do think this is going to be a close game. I think it's going to be a very fun game, and I think Florida covers. And yes, I do think there's a chance that they win. I'm just not picking it.
All right, Tom, we appreciate it. A preview of Florida-Texas A&M all going down on Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern time. I'm hoping the Gators win and not just cover. Thanks, Tom. We appreciate it. In the meantime, you can hear Tom on the Cover 3 podcast. Right now, you can watch by scanning that QR code on your screen or download, follow, listen, all the things wherever you listen to your favorite pods.